Hello everyone, my name is Clantis and welcome to the clan. So without further ado, let's get into this video. And you guys, give this video a like and don't forget to also click the bell notification once you have subscribed. That's very important. Yeah, YouTube just keeps rolling all these updates, guys. Yesterday we were dealing with a new YouTube update, which is something that I have posted on the other channel. If you're a content creator on YouTube, go to Clantis on business. You are going to find the new update regarding monetization, meaning making money on YouTube, where now content creators are going to be making more money now, more than ever. So the video that I made the other day, the one where I was ranting, it looks like it came way too soon, because when it comes to the ads, YouTube has done something incredible for content creators. It's like, I keep hearing people say, block people, block people. On YouTube, there is no block button. There is no block. You can't block a person on YouTube. But YouTube was very clever. It created a button called hide from the channel. I'm sorry, guys. I know I'm going to get into the video. I just want to talk about this. It has a button called hide from the channel. So basically what that means is, if you are being rude towards me, or you are being rude in the comment section, or fighting my community members, I can actually hide you from the channel. Now, what does that mean? It means that you can still see my videos, and you can still see the ads, and you can still make a comment, but guess what? None of us are going to see your comment. None of us. You are speaking to yourself. You will think that your comment has been seen, but nobody saw it. Now, instead of you being blocked and not seeing what I post, that means YouTube loses money out of your eyeballs. So at the end of the day, who's got egg on their face? It is you. So in most cases, I've been hiding a lot of people from my channel because of their mouth, or because they're being careless as well with their words. So now that I made a rant about why some people are not watching ads and things like that, now you are going to be forced to watch the ads whether you like it or not, because right now YouTube has skippable ads and non-skippable ads. The skippable ads, it is the one where you've got control, where you can actually skip the ad and go straight into the video. Starting in November, you will no longer be able to do that. So it's either you stick on YouTube or you leave YouTube altogether if you are not into ads. But I don't believe that the ads are going to show you, there are going to be these long ads. I think they'll be like the 15 seconds to 30-second long videos, but you can't click skip because you're not going to have that option. So in other words, what YouTube is trying to do, it realizes that content creators are working really, really hard, but people are not watching ads. And as a result, the YouTuber ends up not making enough money. Now, you will have to go watch through the ad until it gets to the video. However, though, you are not going to be bombarded with ads because of this update. But anyways, I've got more details on this on my other channel called Clantis on Business. But now let's get into this video, because okay, this morning I could not watch the proceedings for two reasons. Today it was just a busy day. Despite having 4.5 hours of load shedding, it was 4.5 hours, you guys, of load shedding. So eventually when the lights came back, it was about 1:45-ish or something like that. I only saw the last bits of the testimony of Zungu. But of course, as you guys know, because I do this for y'all and I love doing this for y'all, I had to come back home and watch the 2 hours and 45-minute replay from the SABC live stream. And then I had to go through the whole testimony. And it was quite interesting. There's a point in the testimony where I felt this is enough information. I'm not going to continue to write my script. Usually, guys, if you don't know how I do my videos, I write scripts. All of this is my script. They're about, I don't know how many pages these are. So for you to get the video, I write it and then I memorize every single word that is here, because I believe in long sentences. So now let's get into the video and talk about what happened today on the stand at the North Gauteng High Court in the Senzo Meyiwa murder retrial. So as you guys know, that we had on the stand a Mr. Zungu, or a constable by the name of Zungu. He is stationed somewhere in Edenvale in the East Rand, but he comes from Kwanongoma. And I was quite shocked to hear that he's actually a direct neighbor to accused number 1. And he also knows accused number 2 as well from Kwanongom, but he also knows accused number 3 and number 4 and number 5 from here in Johannesburg. And in my mind, I'm thinking, wait a minute, does this guy know what is accused number 5, number 4, number 3, and number 1 are serving sentences for? And why in the world would you be hanging out with people like that? And I was even more shocked to hear that, okay, he has a nephew by the name of Gwabani. Is it Gwabani? He lives in a hostel in Vosloorus called Sutu Hostel or something like that. At first in my mind, I'm thinking, wait a minute, how old are you? That's the first thing that struck me. The second thing that struck me, I thought that was Mtoko. Oh, that was understand. Mtoko Twala. They sound so alike. Their dialects are the same. At first, because I didn't, when I watched the last 15 minutes, I even went into the comment section or the live chat and asked, why isn't Togo back on the stand? And they said, people answered, they said, no, that's not Togo. That is Constable Zungu, the one that the court had to adjourn yesterday because the defense did not have his affidavit on time. And then in my mind, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Thank you so much. And then I wanted to know information like what exactly happened. Then I was like, you know what? Let me leave all that to when I watch the replay and get more information. Because to me, if this is a guy who is responsible in the arrest of the 5 accused that are there in court today, and he was not there, or he heard people say, or he heard accused number 1 tell him a story, therefore isn't that will be hearsay evidence that is going to be given in his evidence in chief. But I thought, you know what, let me reserve those questions and go and watch the replay. And boy, when I watched the replay, I was like, okay. So of course the state wanted to know, on the 26th of October 2014, please tell us what had happened. So he says that on the 26th of October 2014, around 7:15 in the morning, he was due to go to work as a police officer, and he gets a call from his nephew by the name of Gwabani, and then the nephew invites him to Vosloorus, I don't know to do what. Then he tells him that, listen, I will only be able to come to you, guy, at when I'm done with work. And then he said, listen, I'm gonna send you one of our cousins' number by the name of Makasonke. You will have to come with him when you come to Vosloorus. He said, no, it's cool. And so he went to work, and then when he was done at work around, I think, midday or around 2 or 3, he then called Makasonke and said, hey, where do we meet? He said, let's meet at downtown Johannesburg. Specifically at Carlton Center. If you don't know where Carlton Center is, that is where many of us, if we want to meet somebody that's coming from another part of Johannesburg, the easiest place to meet is at Carlton Center. So he said, let's meet at Carlton Center. So eventually they did get each other at Carlton Center, and then the constable, Zungu, who said that, listen, I'm hungry, let's go grab something to bite before we go to Vosloorus. So they went to grab something to bite. As we're grabbing something to bite, this is when the nephew calls the constable to say, hey, how far you guys at? He said, no, we are on our way. We're just grabbing something to bite. This would be around 2 to 3 or after 3 when they actually arrived in Vosloorus. So when they got to Vosloorus, of course, the first lie that I thought this constable told was the type of drinks that they had drank. He said juice. And I was like, okay, let's give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's give you the benefit of the doubt. You drank juice. Okay, cool. So he said they sat down and then they started drinking juice. So he says as they were busy having some drinks at the hostel, apparently the hostel is situated in such a way that it has like a common area where people sit, and then there are going to be rooms, and there's going to be a common bathroom and a common kitchen or something of that nature. So they were sitting in a common room, like a living room of some sort, and then everybody was starting to fill up and started drinking. And in my mind, I'm thinking, are you still drinking juice? But as they were busy drinking, this is when accused number 1, 2, 3, and 5 arrived. So for the first time, we get to hear that these 4 people were in the same place at the same time with this particular constable. Then in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is sounding very interesting. Go on. So apparently accused number 5 then spoke to Gwabani and asked him if he could ask the constable to move his car because his car is blocking his car and he would like to leave. So of course he says he got up and then he went and moved the car out of accused number 5's car so that he can leave. And this is when accused number 5 actually left, leaving behind accused number 3, number 2, and number 1 with the constable Gwabani and Makosonge. But somehow Makosonge did disappear and went somewhere else. He did not hang out with these guys. By the way, Makosonge comes from Rustenburg. I think he works in the mines in Rustenburg. So he had come for the weekend and they were going to have some kind of get together as cousins and the friends, and all of that stuff. He says that music was played, they brought some meat, and then alcohol finished. And then I'm like, aha, that's the juice you were talking about. Why would you say juice in court? But I don't know if the defense picked that up, because to me, you already discredited yourself about the truth. He says that's when the alcohol finished, and so they had to hop on an Uno, a red Uno or something like that, to go to Tops, which is Bar Tops, to buy more alcohol. And in the car, there were 5 of them. And I'm thinking, an Uno, how many people does it take? What's the capacity of Uno? If you ever own an Uno or you've been in an Uno, because I'm very interested to hear how many people it takes. But apparently 5 people hopped in there. Most of the people that went to Tops, they bought alcohol, they came back, they continued to buy and drink alcohol. And in my mind, I'm thinking, this is not going to end well for this constable, understand, because you're talking intoxication here. So the witness continues to testify that they were having great time during the course of the day. This is when around 9 p.m., accused number 2, accused number 3, and accused number 4 entered the house in a hurry. They looked a little bit worried, they looked panicky, and then they went straight into Gwabani's room. He says he followed them into Gwabani's room because he has some sort of suspicion as to what was going on there. He followed them into Gwabani's room, and this is when the light went off. He says he doesn't know who put off the light, but when Gwabani came, he put it on, and then he told them, no, this globe has a problem or something like that. Then he notices when the light goes on that the accused number 1 and accused number 3 were carrying guns. Accused number 1 was carrying a revolver, and accused number 3 was carrying a 9mm. And then in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, okay, let's go back to the testimony of the people that were in the house in Fosloras. I'm talking about the Kumalo household. They said suspect number 1 had something sharp, a sharp object, like a knife. They don't know. In fact, they did not give a full description. Or they said that it was, in fact, it was one person who said that, I can't remember who it was, that he had a, something sharp, but suspect number 1, no, wait, let me do this correctly. Suspect number 1 had a gun, and the gun had a wheel. So now we know that this constable is looking at 2 people carrying guns in the hostel room. One is carrying a revolver, and the other one is carrying a 9mm, right? Then let's go back to the evidence in chief of the people that were present in the house. Those that said one was carrying a sharp object, that is suspect number 2 was carrying a sharp object, and suspect number 1 was carrying a gun which had a wheel. Then I was like, okay, cool. Let's go back to Fosloras at Sutu Hostel. The constable says then he kind of like, because he also brought his service pistol with him, and then he had put it in Gwabani's room. The first thing that he wanted to know from Gwabani was where his pistol was. Of course, Gwabani went behind the bed and then pulled the pistol and gave it to him. He said the first thing that he did was take the pistol and smell it. Basically, I think he's smelling if it shot any bullet. He says then he kind of like removed the magazine to see if any bullet was spent. And I don't know what he said about whether any bullet was spent or not spent in his service pistol. And then, of course, he then questioned Gwabani, basically shouting at him like, why do you have guns in the hostel again? And then in my mind, I'm like, it sounds like this Gwabani guy is a problem child or something like that. I don't even know how old he is. Sounds like he's a problem child or something like that. And then Gwabani, of course, he responded and said, listen, that's the reason why I asked you to take your service pistol into my room, because I do not want people to have guns on their possession in the hostel. So, of course, he says, as he was busy shouting at Guabani, this is when accused number 5 walked in. And when accused number 5 walked in, of course, he wanted to know what was going on. And then he was told that the uncle is actually shouting at the nephew about carrying guns. So to me, it sounds like this Guabani person hires out guns to thugs. That's how it sounded like to me. But then I wanted to hear more from this witness whether Guabani was ever arrested for illegal possession of guns, or somebody that he had borrowed these guns to had ever pointed him out and then he's gotten into trouble with the police, because the way he says he was shouting at his nephew and he used the word again, it means that he must have been in some sort of trouble before. Then you ask yourself this question like, you are a police constable. Why are you hanging out with thugs? But okay, I get it. Accused number 1 is the neighbor, like direct neighbor back in Kwanongoma. And then Guabani is his nephew. That is his brother's child. And then all the other ones is people that he got to know here in Johannesburg. Nonetheless, in my mind, I'm like, dude, you're telling me you still did not know what these people did as occupations? Being in Johannesburg, and then you are a police officer. That is not looking good already on the stand for you, sir. So apparently Guabani did tell his uncle, this witness, that the 38 pistol got lost. So he inquired from Guabani, so you said that your 38 got lost. Why I'm seeing a 38? He says, no, this is a different 38. Again, your nephew, you are a police officer. Have you asked him if his gun had a license? Have you asked him if these gentlemen who are holding guns, these guns are licensed as a upstanding cop? Because right now you are in court testifying against 5 people that possibly could have killed Senzo Meyiwa. Why don't you rat out on all the people that are busy breaking the law, like your nephew, who I think all his guns do not have licenses? That part I didn't get. And in my mind, I'm thinking that's strike 3, as far as I'm concerned, on your credibility. Okay, I realized that I made a mistake about accused number 4. Accused number 4 was not in the picture at this point. However, he does come into the picture when accused number 5 comes to Foslara's hostel, and this time around, he is in the company of accused number 4. And another thing that I could not understand about the witness is that he was asked by the state prosecutor to please refer to the accused by their number, but he keeps calling them by their name. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't saying that he's crazy, but I was questioning his level of understanding that you are a police officer who is probably being trained that at some point you are going to give evidence in court. Of course, if you have ever given evidence in court, you will know these things. Like I must not call the accused by their names, but I must call them by the sequence of numbers that they are accused in. Accused number 1, don't say the name Muzi, because at some point as well I will get confused. Who's Muzi again? And then he will jump and say Mapisa, and I'm like, who's Mapisa again? But if you said accused number 1, then I will know who you're talking about and I can see the face. If you say accused number 4, of course I'll be able to see the face. So I thought Advocate Baloyi was correct in that please call them by their number rather than their name, so that there will be no confusion. So when accused number 5 together with accused number 4 arrived back at the Foslara's hotel, apparently Guabani then asked this witness if he could excuse them because he would like to have a private conversation with the gentleman because they are going home tomorrow, meaning back to KwaZulu-Natal. So he says then, okay, he gave them some space for them to talk. He says he went and sat in the common room. He says that as he was leaving the room of Guabani, he sees accused number 2, who was changing from the hoodie he was wearing. He was wearing a black jacket, he calls it, but later on he does describe it to be a hoodie. He says he removed the black hoodie he was wearing and he put on a gray one. But when he was pulling off the black one, he was looking as though he was hiding or hoping that the witness would not see him, but he already saw him. And then he even said to him in a jokey way that, oh, you got multiple of these jackets. Can you give me one? He says, accused number two, as he was walking, so they were crossing paths. As he was walking into the bedroom and he was walking into the common room, accused number two laughed. He says after a while, this is when Gwabani came out of the room and went to his uncle, which is the witness, and asked him that when he leaves going home, if he could please take along with him accused number one and drop him wherever he's going to ask him to drop him at. So he said, okay, he did not have a problem, but accused number one did come out as well to kind of like, I think, confirm if he's going to get a lift from the witness. The witness said, yeah, you're going to get a lift because I've already agreed to take you to Gwabani. And then he said, however, he cannot leave without Makasonke because this is the person that he came with. So they tried to call Makasonke to say, hey, when it's time to leave, please be around. So it's easy for us to go. But Makasonke had other plans and he said he's no longer going. He can go ahead anyway without him. So then he continues to say that accused number one was wearing a red t-shirt. So he removed the t-shirt and then he folded it around his hand, and he was carrying an alcohol bottle, and he used something to get himself up. I'm not quite sure what that testimony was about, but anyways, I think he was focusing on the fact that accused number one was wearing a red t-shirt, but he took it off. And apparently accused number one, this is when he started asking people in the common room if they have heard that Senzo Meyiwa was no more. And then the constable said, no, that is not true. Where you're getting your sources from? He then took out his phone, went into social media to see if there's any report about the death of Senzo Meyiwa. And he said, you got your sources all wrong. There's no such a thing that Senzo Meyiwa had passed on. So he said after looking into the social media, he stopped entertaining this whole idea of Senzo Meyiwa being no more. And also accused number one did not persuade or pursue and try to convince him that indeed Senzo Meyiwa was dead. So I think everything went back to normal. And he says that the place started getting full and getting really, really busy with men walking in and out. Now, the part that I did not understand or I did not hear him say is that when accused number two, number three, as well as accused number one had left and came back now carrying guns. I'm not sure when he says that because he says out of the blue that's when they came back. I'm just going back because I just had an afterthought that when did he say that they left and then when they came back with guns now. And then they look all panicky and things like that. And the other thing that also kind of like shocked me towards the end was when he said they were celebrating with a bottle of whiskey. Celebrating the death of Senzo Meyiwa? I didn't understand that part. If you heard properly, please correct me because I was already lost at this particular witness's testimony because I was asking myself a question about his entire presence, understanding what are you there as? Because to me, it sounds as though you are watching this from a hearsay point of view. And anything that you are going to submit in this court is going to be on hearsay. I understand the story that he's telling on his side of the story as to what had happened or transpired on the 26th of October 2016 in his own experience. But when it comes to the death of Senzo Meyiwa, how would he have known that it is these three people that shot and killed Senzo Meyiwa? And if anybody told him that it is these three people that walked in carrying guns, wouldn't that be hearsay? Because he was not there. Wouldn't that be hearsay? And he continues to say that the following day, when he started hearing the news that indeed Senzo Meyiwa had passed on, and they were describing the type of clothes that the perpetrators were wearing, one of the perpetrators having dreadlocks and was wearing a hoodie, and there was a 9mm pistol as well as a revolver. And he says in his head, he's like, I've been with these people, but he could not pinpoint in his mind who are these people that he was with that are being described. And then I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. That really doesn't make sense to me. And secondly, I'm going back to what I just said. Anybody that would have told him that it is them who killed Senzo Meyiwa, how would he have known for a fact that it is them without him being told that it is these guys. Because if somebody tells him that it is these guys, that's hearsay. It's not factual. So he continues to testify that when he wanted to leave, he went to Gwabani and said, hey, can I have my car keys? And then Gwabani was like, oh, and then he was acting all surprised and started making phone calls and nobody was answering his phone calls. And then he went to somebody else, I think it's one of the cousins of accused number 5, and said, hey, can you please call him because he's not answering my calls? And when he called, indeed, he picked up. And this is when Gwabani took the phone and said, hey, I'm trying to call you, but you're not answering. Can you please come with my uncle's car keys? He needs to leave. And then, of course, accused number 5 said, okay, you're going to have to wait a while because I don't know where they were at. And he's going to send somebody to bring the keys. And apparently, I think it was accused number 2 who brought the keys. But no, it was accused number 4 that brought the keys. And as he was giving the constable his car keys, he kind of like clapped hands like that as a sign of respect and said, and thanked him for his car keys. And in my mind, I'm thinking, where did they go with this car? Where did they go with this car? And why would they be so grateful in the manner that they did when he was giving him his car keys back? Because it doesn't elaborate whether they took the car with them or they just happened to take the keys by accident with them. I don't know. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Write in the comment section and say, actually, they drove his car. So the constable then continued to testify, and he said when he was about to leave, this is when accused number 1 came, but other people also came. He ended up leaving with 5 people in his car, accused number 1 being one of them. But before they left, Gwabini wanted to also take them to the gate before he came back to the house because the hostel at this point in time, and it was getting late, it was getting way too busy. So this is when Advocate Mshololo stood up and she wanted confirmation from the judge to basically get confirmation from the state if Gwabini is going to be called to the stand so that they can cross-examine him about about his name coming up a lot in the witness's testimony. The judge said, I don't know, I'm not sure if he's going to be called, and this is when he looks at the state and he asked if Gwabini is going to be asked to come and testify in court, and Advocate Baloyi said, he said at some point they are going to try and avoid hearsay, but this is an agreement that he already had with the defense. Now he's surprised that Advocate Mshololo stood up to object, and in my mind I'm thinking, wait a minute, I thought this hearsay that was going to be accepted for a second was of Monday. Remember on Monday, this is what, I think it was Monday or Tuesday. So clearly, Baloyi made a total fool of the defense, and he's still holding on to something that he submitted or he applied in court for, I think on Monday or Tuesday, because I was even asking, a hearsay is allowed in court? And then I think this is when he proposed that it's going to be a trial within a trial. When was that? Was it Monday or Tuesday? That it's going to be a trial within a trial. I think somebody's confession is going to be placed on a record on a trial within a trial. But I thought that was it. But then, he carried it all the way throughout these days. He's been going on the hearsay that the court had admitted. But the defense, they fought this. They fought this and said, no, this hearsay needs to be struck off and they are no longer going to go with it. And this is when Baloyi was forced to withdraw the hearsay whatever angle that he was going with. Because at the end of the day, like I asked, wouldn't this witness anything that is going to say about what happened in Fosloras, in Makumalo's household, going to be hearsay? So now Baloyi tried to sneak that in, like he's sneaking things in these days, and it did not work for him. Unfortunately, it did not work for him. But this is what Baloyi says. I thought that the defense created an impression that they will allow hearsay. I was like, no, Advocate Baloyi, no, you are being a crook now. And this is when the judge said, okay, Gwabini is going to be called. I think that's a rule that he made, that Gwabini is going to be called on the stand so that he can testify to what is being testified about when he is called. However, the state said it's still going to consider whether to call Gwabini or not. And in my mind, I'm thinking, there we go again. Everything that this witness was saying, I think Gwabeni is going to dispute it. If he doesn't dispute it, he's just going to tell the truth. And then Advocate Baloyi doesn't want to take that chance because he said he is going to consider it. It's not something that is a final decision from the state yet. Of course, the judge is not going to force him because he did say Gwabeni needs to be called, but the state said, wait a minute, we are still considering it, whether we are going to call him or not. But I think the defense should push that he's called. So as the witness was busy testifying, this is when the judge, said, interjected basically. And he said the following words, and I'm going to read what he said. And I thought that was a very wise move that he made instead of leaving this hanging in the air, because he already realized that this Advocate Baloyi, he's a sneaky person. So he decided, let me save myself and save the credibility of this court. And then he made this ruling, and I would read it. He says, this court must place on record that I will not entertain the hearsay. I am not going to take it into consideration, all the hearsay. I don't want to be accused or assessed that I incorporated into my judgment if I ever write one. I saw a lot of people say, if I ever write one, and I was like, okay, I think I understand what he meant by that, because I've been saying to you guys, a judge may behave in a certain way in the courtroom, but all evidence is being recorded. Everything that is being said in court is being recorded that the judge has no control over. So other people that are employed by the judicial system would listen into these recordings and write the judgment for this judge. Some judges do write their own judgments, from what I understood from that tiny little line that he said. So that is why you're getting all worked up on what Judge Rata is doing. In fact, judgments sometimes are not written by them, are written by the people that are going to take these transcripts and then look at the evidence that was submitted into that particular court. And then when they are done writing the judgment, he's going to deliver it. So this was the point where I stopped writing my my scripts, and I was like, okay, so there's no point then in continuing to write, because the judge had just put a dead end to this testimony. But of course, he allowed it. Why? Because the witness was just going to talk about what he experienced on the 26th of October 2014. Anything else that he tries to add or try to put in would be hearsay, and that is going to be disregarded by the court. So I thought, okay, let him talk. And then he continued talking, and then from there, I was actually, to be honest with you, I was disinterested, because thus far, this witness has given nothing to the court. It helped the state in absolutely nothing. It didn't create any shadow of doubt, because it does not say, there's nothing that says that the three accused number 1, accused number 3, and accused number 5, and basically all 5 of them, that they were the ones that actually killed Senzo Meyiwa. Remember, don't forget the eyewitnesses, what they described when they asked about the weapons that were used in the house. Why now we have 2 guns? One is a revolver and one is a 9mm. I know that 1mm is the same millimeter, that 9mm that they are trying to pin on accused number 3 that we've been hearing about in the past couple of weeks. And of course, Baloyi is still sticking on accused number 3, and now he is gunning for accused number 1. Again, I don't feel like anything was submitted of value or evidential value by this witness. And secondly, how is it not possible that on the night of the 26th into the 27th of October 2014, this particular witness was intoxicated? He was seeing things, he was hearing things, and things of that nature. And the other thing that I did not understand is that why so many things were happening in 2019 for him. Because everything, 2019. And I'm thinking, 2019, when was 2014 again? Why are we talking about 2019? Where have you been all this time? That's another thing that I wanted to know. Where have you been all this time from 2014 to date? You are only coming in now from the 31st of May 2023. Because that affidavit was written on the 31st of May 2023. Where have you been for the past 9 years and 8 months? Okay, now it's 9 years and 11 months today. Where have you been all this time? If you are such a holier-than-thou cop, why are you hanging out with people that do not have licenses for the guns that they carry? Why now you are gunning for people, your neighbor? I don't know what your neighbor did to you that was so grave for you to actually accuse him of killing another human being. Okay, fine. I think he's serving a sentence or sentences for killing people. I don't know. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Or let me just say allegedly, because I don't know if he is serving any life sentences for killing people. So I withdraw that. I withdraw that. But pinning Senzo Meyiwa's death on him, and then he talked about how his life has been in debt. We don't have evidence of that. Were you ever shot at? Where is a bullet wound or something? I don't get it. And then, of course, he talked about Gininda, whom I still think that the defense should push in having him in court before the end of next week. Possibly even the end of this week. So I was like I said, guys, I was so disinterested after what Judge Rata said in terms of not accepting hearsay, because this guy, as far as I'm concerned, he was on the witness stand because Baloyi played the defense and brought in the hearsay piece, I think on Monday or Tuesday, and he carried it all the way to today until the defense woke up and said, wait a minute, but why you are submitting hearsay into evidence? So he got caught by the defense, and of course that was struck off. And then of course that forced the judge to distance himself from any submissions that are going to be made by the state on hearsay. That was the end of the testimony, as far as I'm concerned. That was a cue for the state to say, okay, stand down. Let's call the next witness. But no, Baloyi, like I said, he continued to listen to this particular witness. But anyways, at the end of the day, the court did adjourn because this witness asked to go to pee, to use the toilet. That's what he said. He needed to use the toilet, and of course that was towards long break time. And of course, apparently they had an agreement in chambers between the state and the defense that they adjourn early, basically adjourn by midday, so that, I don't know, for whatever reason. So this means that this witness is going to come back tomorrow to continue with his testimony in chief or evidence in chief, because apparently the state has one more question to ask him. And then it will be handed over to the defense to cross-examine him. I don't know why I don't know why the defense would cross-examine him anyway, because I still don't think he has any evidential value to add to this case. Whether he is still standing on the fact that accused number 1 to accused number 5 are the people that killed Senzo Meyiwa or not, it's for me, it is immaterial to actually cross-examine him. But of course, if they feel like they want to cross-examine him on some few things, some discrepancies that I felt that if indeed he was a credible witness, I would have cross-examined him on some few things like the alcohol consumption, how much of it did he take? I will also question him about his associations with possible criminals. I would question him about where his morals stand, that you are able to rat out other people and yet you will not rat out your own nephew who carries guns and possibly hiring these guns out to go kill people. And of course, if that gun that his nephew hired to this accused, then of course I'm talking about the witness himself, needs to be arrested for concealing such information all this time. So that is just my thoughts, guys. If you like the video, give it a like. If you didn't like the video, give it a like. Anyways, do subscribe to my YouTube channel. And don't forget to click the bell notification so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Guys, thank you so much to everybody that's super thanking this channel. Your support of this channel financially means absolutely so much to me. I already have money to pay for the Wi-Fi. Now I need to get money to pay for other plugs that I subscriptions basically that I have in order for you to see these videos. So I thank you guys all so much. Abundance of blessings to you. And also thank you to everybody as well that also adhered to the call of watching the ads. Thank you guys for watching the ads. That also makes a lot of difference, and I did see it. So thank you guys for adhering to that call. I appreciate it. Do leave me a comment down below. Let me know, what did you think about this witness? Did you think that you were convinced by him in any way? Were you persuaded by him in any way? I would like to hear that. Also, share this video far and wide. Thank you all so much for watching. See you next time with a new video. Goodbye.